and I look at it, you kind of like, I think that you were talking about faith and looking back, I think what it did was it put things in perspective for me. I think if to me, Green knew it, losing the company, all that was heartburn. The loss of the pregnancy was heartache.
Yeah.
And I think that it helped me understand the business is the business, the money's the money, but like, that was just way deeper. And so going through that with her, I think that really rattled us. You hear it's common, and it was so funny, not funny. It was so like odd because a lot of times, you have a baby, and the next question, like, oh, when are you gonna have another one? And it's not coming from like a place of anywhere besides just like curiosity. And I became very sensitive to all that because it just rocked our world. And so we just were, just very intentional about like the family is everything. That is the reason we're protecting, that's the house we're protecting. And so, when we had Lola, it was our anniversary. I remember the doctor, George's pregnancy was fun. Yeah, we're going to the doctor. We lost the baby. And then Lola, every meeting, every doctor's visit was just on pins and needles. On our anniversary at the doctor's visit, they were like, hey, look, we found some things. We see some stuff where pretty much like you could be having a stillborn. Was like, we don't know. They did an amnio where they go, the needle goes through the stomach into on our anniversary. I just remember we're like sitting there afterwards, like, what the like, just totally like blown. Fortunately, Lola was born super healthy and happy, but I don't know. I think just some of those experiences just like it bonded us so closely that like, it's not us against the world, but like this is primary, and I think I've ran the business. I've probably lost out on tons of opportunities, tons of stuff because I'm coaching soccer. Like I'm not missing the stuff, and again, that's a decision I've made. Those are consequences that we live with. But I think when I'm, on the deathbed, I'm going to be happy I went to the soccer practice versus the one more deal that, didn't matter.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. So sorry, I took us for a turn there, but that was
no. That's I mean that's part of the purpose of having these conversations. Is it if somebody else is hearing this, like that puts a lot into perspective for folks to be able to really know, like, hey, it's a difficult place in life to be when you lose a kid, that you are looking forward to, and I can't imagine. But then to realize that you still have each other, you can still grow from it, you can still build from it, and to allow that to put things into perspective instead of tearing you down, you guys were able to go, you know what, like let's make this more of an adhesive as opposed to something that pushes us apart. So I think that says a lot about the two of you on how you guys kind of stuck together through all of that. So good on you.
Thank you. Actually, it was a guy who was, I wouldn't say I'm spiritual, but I wouldn't say I kind of affiliate with a specific religion. But I'll tell you, a lot of times, man, guys from a Christian religion or Christian background have been there for me and really helped me. I remember I was just angry, right? Like I think it was probably a little bit of everything, but I was like, what are you talking about? God's good. Like, what's good about this? Being, obviously there's a lot of worse stuff happening in the world. And I remember Dan Grieve, I don't know, he's another Go Abundance guy. Yeah. We're at he's out of Orlando. And I remember I was sitting there and he was like, Jay, he's like, the challenge is right now is you think you know better than God. And like, he's like, you think your plans are better than God's plans. He's like, well, what would have happened if that baby would have been born and passed, 3 weeks in or 3 years in? You don't know what is going, and it was just kind of like, whoa, I never had that perspective. I didn't think of it that way. Mm-hmm. And it didn't, solve anything, but it gave me a little bit of reprieve to reframe it, to not just keep turning bitter. It was weird because it's like so calm. It happens a lot, but it's like that didn't make it any easier. It's like that was tough. But
I've got another guy I had on the podcast, and his name is blanking me right now. But they lost their kid at like 3 months old. Was in the NICU from the day the child was born. And, obviously that caused a lot of strife between husband and wife, and trying to figure out what was going on, and like, how do we grieve this? How do we communicate about it? What are we going to be doing? And, it's again, who knows, what God's plan is. All I know is that we're on a rock, like hurling through a universe that's massively beyond what either of us can think about. Yes, it's painful. Yes, these things hurt. I don't want to ever imagine going through what you or he went through. But at the same point, I have to go, like, there are things in this world I don't understand. I've fought wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. I saw a lot of things I don't understand on why things happen the way they do. I've been all over this world doing all sorts of stuff. And I go, you know what? I can't hold on to those things. I can't think about those things in that matter. All I can control is what I can control. And I have to be able to move on from there. So
thank you for your service. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. My pleasure. Yeah, it was. Well, sometimes my pleasure, sometimes not so much, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
But it throws things again into perspective. Like I get to, I got to walk around the streets of Baghdad and see some horrendous things and the life that some of these kids were living, and go, what a massive blessing. And then, to come here and then to hear some of the people say some of the things they say about our country. I'm like, you guys are so ignorant and oblivious to what the world actually is out there. It's if I hold on to all of that and look at it all as personal, it can really tear you down.
Sure.
But if you look at it and go, all right, well, I can put things into perspective and realize what a blessing it is that I have, and then, you get to look at your 3 kids and go, man, what an amazing blessing it is. I know that I could have 4 right now, but I've got 3 amazing kids. And then to be able to apply that learning to other people, like just sharing it on here, could easily help somebody else out in a situation where they're going through and going, you know what? I need to be able to look at this in a different perspective. So, so I thank you for sharing that, man. I know it's not easy.
Yeah, no.
So now, now with you and Carly, with the 3 kiddos, like how do you guys want to, like, what sort of intentionality do you guys have behind, this is how we want to raise our kids. This is what we want to provide. This is how we do you guys want to have more kids? Are you guys looking to have more? Are you guys done at 3? And then B, like, what sort of conversations do you guys have? Cause I just picture this could be just, there's a difference between business and personal. I get it, but I picture you guys sitting down and having a 3-year plan and a 5-year, your vision for your family and where you guys want to go. What is that vision for you and your family?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's funny. I put together a kind of a 5-year vision 10 years ago. So I put it together, and now it's like, but I've kept it. I've kind of tweaked it, and it's like, and now I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't 5, maybe it was 10, but damn, like, this is like, so I think what we do is, I have it right here, but it's like, the core values really do set the stage, So I think, in terms of like, the values we want our kids portraying, the values we want. I think the core values are there for when things are tough, not for when things go great, right? Like, everything's easy when things are cool, but when you feel slighted, or can you still be kind, right? When you feel like, so I think for that, but I think, we love, like, I think just by name, I'm more of like the vision plan, like, and Carly's like, that's cool. Like, she's not like, so like into it like I am, but I think that the standards are consistent. The standards are, you guys are going to be respectful. You guys are going to be healthy. You guys are going to be active. You guys are going to treat each other like we're teammates, right? Like, and so I think that we're really just trying to like instill those good habits of, kind of how to be a good teammate. That's what I would say. Like, hey, we're all on the same team. We got to be great teammates. But I think what we really love to do is, so now we take about 4 fun family trips together a year. So once a quarter we go to Deep Creek, we do little stuff, nothing crazy, but just enough to get out and kind of have the time together. So we love that. We've been finding our happy place is Chincoteague Island, Virginia. So now we have this vision. We always talk about the dream house. So the dream house, we're working towards that dream house. But yeah, I think, the great, we're not so, kind of to your point, like the kids are in public school. We're more focused on their character tthan their grades.
Yes.
Obviously we want the grades to be good because I think it does have a correlation to like, are you doing the stuff you're supposed to do? For the most part. But, I remember George had a test he didn't do great on. And I was like, George, like, did you try your best? He's like, yeah. He's like, I was like, did you study for it before? He's like, yeah. He's like, I got nervous. I rushed through it. I didn't check my work. And I was like, all right, dude. Like, I'm not like,
yeah,
I'm not worried about it. Like, you know, now if you would have said I didn't study and I kind of went in there and just rushed through it, like then we got an issue, right? Because that's you're just not handling it the right way.
Because there's the character part, right?